We have many questions to ask tonight on the News Hour. We can ask the question about whether corporates who have been hit hard by the verdict can really complain tonight loudly that they have been badly treated. Some companies are already saying that. We should be asking tonight whether the government's position in the 2G scam has been turned upside down with a Supreme Court order. Can the government blame Raja alone after this verdict? And on panel 1 tonight, I have with me here in the studio Kumar Ketkar, Chief Editor of Divya Marathi of Dainik Bhaskar Group, Pinaki Mishra, BJD leader, senior advocate, he's been representing Uninor, Navika Kumar, a political editor who had a terrific news break this morning, way ahead of anyone else. She got the news first. We have the chairman of the TRAI, J.S. Sarma, with us. Thank you, sir, for coming in. Prashant Bhushan, petitioner in this case, victorious petitioner and senior advocate of the Supreme Court. And my first question tonight goes to Ravi Shankar Prasad. Mr. Prasad, you can be happy today that 122 licenses have been cancelled. I want to start by asking you, I find nothing in today's verdict which blames directly the government, the Prime Minister, or Mr. Chidambaram. Yet, that was the nature of your attack today. Why?
The reply is very simple, Arnav. The CVC Thomas case was quashed, in which you played a very stellar role on a channel. The PM says, sorry, I was not informed. In the sanction case, the PMO is strictured. The PM says, sorry, PM is away from the PMO. Now, the third case, should we presume that one minister, A. Raja, was twisting the arm of the government? It was a public shock all over the country. Media was doing the campaign. All the facts were in public domain. Delhi High Court has quashed the cut-off date manipulation. And repeated recommendations by senior officers of Finance Ministry were there. And yet, the Prime Minister wrote 3 letters. And Raja gave a evasive reply, and the PM just said, I have got your letter on 3rd January 2008. Is the Prime Minister of India so lame duck? He is not supposed to intervene to stop loot of public money and public revenue? These are important questions. Therefore, I have said what I said in the morning, and I repeat here. Would the Prime Minister owe some accountability? As far as Chidambaram is concerned, we have discussed it on your channel a number of times. On 15 January 2008, he overturned the recommendations of his finance secretary, additional finance secretary, to go for a fair market determination. And wrote to the Prime Minister, let past be treated as closed. I will start up a spectrum, auction for future. Is it not a fact? That in June 2008, he along with Raja met the Prime Minister.
So why don't you ask the TRAI chairman?
And the Prime Minister told the House.
So why don't you ask the TRAI chairman?
Oh,
the TRAI chairman, the recommendation. You ask Mr. Sarma is on tonight. Yes, Sarma. The recommendations of the TRAI dated the 28th of August 2007 became, in my view, the basis for Raja to further his policy. You can ask the TRAI where the recommendations were poorly conceived. The Prime Minister did not draft the TRAI recommendation. My reply is
very simple, Arnav Goswami.
Yes.
No. The Prime Minister is above TRAI. The Prime Minister is the leader of the nation. And the Finance Minister has to ensure that public revenue is safeguarded. When these 2 things were there, and everything was in public domain, the PM knew that wrongdoing was being done.
So there's a response coming your way.
Yet he did not stop.
Kumar Ketkar wants to respond to something you said.
Failure of the government headed by the Prime Minister.
Kumar Ketkar wants to respond to what you said there. Kumar Ketkar, go ahead, sir.
Well, actually, it's a very simple point. The point is whether we are attributing political responsibility, legal responsibility, technical and administrative responsibility to the PM. If the cabinet collectively is responsible, then let the demand be that the entire cabinet resign along with Prime Minister.
No, the Prime Minister.
But I think the argument, very eloquently made and loudly made, does not make a reasonable argument. The point is eloquently and loudly made is that Prime Minister is responsible as a head of the nation. I think Prime Minister is responsible for everything as head of the nation, what is happening in the country, what are the decisions taken by the cabinet, and what are all the following policies that are taken by TRAI or otherwise in particularly.
No, that's not the point. The point is that the Prime Minister could have been more assertive with A. Raja instead of just accepting his version of the facts.
The TRAI regulations were actually overseen by the Prime Minister and still he took the decision to continue Raja. So this cannot be, I mean, Prime Minister must be handling several 1,000 files perhaps over a year, and I don't think every single regulation and detail, the footnote and all the points had to be seen by the Prime Minister. I don't think that is completely
the Minister of Law and Justice recommended the setting up of a GOM on the matter of allocation of spectrum.
The argument is whether we are asking political question or legal question.
Well, there is
the demand for resignation or demand to hold Prime Minister responsible is a political demand. It is not a legal demand, because by legal position it is very clear the Prime Minister has not been considered as a responsible person.
Well, I don't think we can have a strict division between what is political, what is legal, but I'll go across to a political editor. She wants to make a point there. Navika, go on, please.
Well, Arnab, there are a couple of questions that are extremely important to remember at this stage. The first, of course, being that A. Raja had issued letters of intent on the 10th of January 2008, which have been struck down by the Supreme Court today. Between the LOIs being issued and the spectrum or the licenses being issued, there was enough time. Why did there be no intervention from the then Finance Minister P. Chidambaram or the Prime Minister? That's a serious question that everybody is asking, because even the Supreme Court has zeroed in on the date of 10th January 2008. So why did nobody act between then? We have a letter of the former Finance Minister P. Chidambaram on the 15th of January, a letter that he's used in his defense, saying that this really shows that in future we should go through the auction route and we should not go through the first come first. So why did he not intervene and stop only the LOIs which had been issued? That's a serious question which the government needs to answer, and that's the legal politico issue that the government will need to look at very squarely in the face. The second point, of course, is with the cancellation of licenses or not, the government is looking at a threefold problem. One, the entire tangle. You have to go to every single district to discontinue in the next 4 months all the frequency that has been given. You have to take that back. There are customer services, there are switches, there is frequency which has been allocated. Everything has to be taken back. Customer service centers are working, there are customers, there are employees. All of this will need to be looked at, which is why we are saying that this again becomes a political problem, because we are in the middle of elections, and this is really not good news. But the most important part, Arnab, is this question I would like to put to the TRAI chairman, Mr. J.S. Sharma. There are very scathing observations that have been made in paragraph 67 of the judgment that has been given by Justice Ganguly and Justice Singhvi today, and it says, to say the least, the entire approach adopted by the TRAI was lopsided and contrary to the decision taken by the Council of Ministers, and its recommendation became a handle for the then Minister of Communications and IT and the officers of the DOT, who virtually gifted away the important national asset at throwaway prices. Mr. J.S. Sharma, how do you respond to this scathing criticism coming from the Supreme Court?
You see, Arnab, the point is this, the Supreme Court has already pronounced its order, and this relates to the August 2007 recommendations. I think Supreme Court, having given its verdict on the subject, it may not be appropriate to really get into a debate on that particular issue.
No, but
the order of the Supreme Court is there, and I suppose we have noted it.
No, sir. We need to go a little bit into detail, sir. I would request you to go into detail. Let's not skip what the Supreme Court has said, because if I go by what the Supreme Court has said, then the TRAI, of which you are the chairman, was an accessory for Mr. Raja to further his devious plans. The TRAI is meant to be a regulator, not an accessory for an unscrupulous minister.
Okay, let me first mention this. The recommendations were given in August 2007, and that was under a different dispensation. I have taken over in May 2009, so these recommendations were given much earlier. So I mean, that we are an accessory is really not I mean, it's not a fair statement. But in any case, I really do not wish to defend a decision taken by
Are you being made a scapegoat for decisions or lack of decisions of the political leadership? Let me go even more straight, sir. Are you being made a scapegoat? Today, Kapil Sibal said very clearly that the Supreme Court says TRAI recommendations were flawed. Telecom Minister followed TRAI recommendations. You cannot blame the government.
No, it is a fact that the TRAI in August 2007 did not recommend auctions. This is something that we have stated earlier also. So the fact is that, and that is what the Supreme Court also has stated today. Now, you see, when an authority sits down and takes a decision, it takes into consideration various factors. Now, this was taken by a set of people who were entirely different from the set of people that exist today. So I really cannot answer why they have taken that decision. I can only say that yes, today the Supreme Court has stated that they were not right decisions, but that does not tarnish the institution as a whole. You must understand that several recommendations are issued by the TRA from time to time. It is this recommendation has been found to be flawed.
Sir, I am not tarnishing. I am not, certainly no attempt to tarnish institutions as a whole. We are going to go to the question of what impact this has. Lord Desai is joining us from our studios in London. The bigger question tonight to debate is, because Lord Desai has been among the people who say this is terrible for Indian business, Indian corporates. It sends a terrible message out. Ravi Shankar Prasad, you raise your hand before I come to you. I want to ask Prashant Bhushan, sir. Mr. Bhushan, a strong, sometimes almost tedious defense by the government today saying we are not at fault. Mr. Raja is at fault. Ask Mr. Raja, it's not the government of India which is at fault. The TRAI is at fault. Ask the TRAI. Do you buy that line?
No, I don't buy that line because at all stages this issue of spectrum pricing was squarely before the government. It was referred to the group of ministers. It was initially thought that it would be decided, it was initially laid down that it would be decided by the communications minister along with the finance minister.
Yes.
Thereafter it was referred to the group of ministers. At Mr. Dayanidhi Maran's intervention, it was removed from the group of ministers and then left to be decided by the communications minister in consultation with the finance minister. At all times, Mr. Raja kept the Prime Minister informed of what he was doing and what he intended to do.
That's what he says.
The Prime Minister at one stage raised this question of auctioning the spectrum. He said this is a scarce resource and therefore it should be given away in the most transparent manner, that is by a public auction. But thereafter Mr. Raja told the Prime Minister no, he is not going to auction, he is going to give it at 2001 prices by distorting the first come first served, by preponing the cut-off date, all of which have been held by the Supreme Court to be mala fide as well as arbitrary, capricious, etc. The Prime Minister was fully aware of what Mr. Raja was doing, so was the Finance Minister. The Finance Minister, in fact, thereafter advised the Prime Minister, let the spectrum be given away at these prices. Even before the spectrum was given away, he said that let this be treated as a closed chapter, for future we will auction. Therefore, both the Finance Minister and the Prime Minister was fully aware of what Mr. Raja was doing and played along with that.
No, sir.
That's the hard and brutal fact.
No,